My name is Elke Geising. I was born in Germany 1 year after the end of the Nazi era. Today, I live in Cape Town. Why am I speaking to you about this? This was over 60 years ago. What does Nazi Germany have to do with us today? We live in South Africa. For me, South Africa today feels similar to Germany, where I grew up in the 1950s. Most people don't want to speak about the past. In both our societies, there are people who took part in gross human rights violations. And now they deny these things happened or that they participated. They say, let's forget the past and move on. But it does not work that way. Our history lives in us. It affects the choices we make. This is not a comparison of Nazism and apartheid. It is a comparison of forgettings and denial. It is healing to talk, and it's taken me my 60 years to understand that, and I want to talk a little bit about my journey, but let me talk about my family history first. They were Nazis. My parents participated, and they benefited. That's my mother at the age of 16. She's wearing the Hitler Youth uniform. She finished a secretarial course, and she became employed by a Nazi mayor of a big city. So what did she do? She took down letters from the Nazi leader. They were about deportation of Jewish people. They were about denunciations. They were about taking property. And she made a career because she did well writing those letters. It's bone-chilling to me still today. That's my loving mother. And that's also a horror person in some ways. My father, as quickly as he could, he joined the Nazi party. It was power, the uniform. I mean, vain reasons, and not checking what is behind it. He went into the military, and the places he went, I've done research. There was also in a part of Europe, in Greece, where there was huge brutality against struggle fighters, freedom fighters. For one German killed, entire towns and villages would be erased. Everybody killed. Yeah, my father was right in the middle of it. Look at this, my parents, what I just described to you. Look at them, they're smiling, they're laughing, they're happy, they're in love. How can that be? They're killing and they're loving. I remember wonderful times of play with my father, with my mother, with my brother, with our dog, with the horses, with the grandparents. They took us out to many adventures. I loved my father teaching me how to swim. We played dolphins together. He worked in the family business, and I followed him through everywhere, to all the machines. I was very, very close to my father. And to my mother, I loved her. She had a beautiful voice. She loved to read beautiful literature. She was very affectionate, very creative, let me play whatever I wanted to play, very supportive, wonderful mother. So how can I understand the beautiful parents on the one side and then what they participated in and who they became? After the Holocaust, after the Nazi Germany, my parents could not come together and talk about what happened, about their shame, their guilt, their terrible, terrible feelings. It was my teacher in high school, when I was 15, who introduced the Holocaust to us. I remember that she gave me books to read and videos to watch, and it changed my life. And I read every book I could get my hands on. I watched every video, and I was deeply ashamed. And I was deeply guilty. So I went to my parents, and I wanted to talk to them. And they didn't want to talk. My father defended Hitler as building infrastructure. You hear that here too, no? The good things Apartheid has done, building roads and infrastructure, and new development. On the account of what? On the account of dehumanizing others, on the account of killing, torturing others. Nothing is worth that, nothing. And I have to say, I don't know today if they ever regretted or what they did was their guilt and their feelings. They died young. They destroyed themselves and each other early, about less than 20 years after the end of Nazi Germany. I know in Germany there was a blanket of denial, like a blanket was pulled over the country after Nazi Germany. Everybody knew who wanted to know, and even those who didn't want to know, it was staring them in the face, every ordinary German citizen. And so I believe everybody could have seen and could have known, and did know.
I found life in Germany too difficult to handle. I lived in my mid-20s. I lived in New York for the next 30 years. I did well and felt I had made a good life of it. Throughout these years, the generosity of spirit shown to me by Jewish people has been deeply moving and inspiring.
So now, I made that choice at 55, and it was South Africa that I was drawn to through people I had met. And that pulled me, and I came out 10 years ago. And I was also very naive when I came, because I didn't know that my unfinished business from the past threw me into a real big struggle. I had to also grapple with how to come to terms with being a descendant of Nazi parents. I ask you, how do you come to terms with being a descendant of apartheid in South Africa?
Gradually, I began to confront the perpetrator in me. I could have been my parents or an apartheid supporter. What choices would I have made then? As I became more deeply aware of the extent of cruelty committed by apartheid society, I was shocked to accept that, once again, I belonged to the culture of perpetrators. Apartheid South Africa was not Nazi Germany, but we underestimate the consequences of what happened here at our peril. The silence we have now in South Africa is destructive to victims and perpetrators alike. We need to talk. I believe my parents sent me on a path to make a difference. Perhaps, in some small way, I can redeem them. I would like to thank many wonderful people here in South Africa who, through their generosity of spirit, their courage and their dignity, set examples for all of us to aspire to.
And she said, make it accessible. Your parents were human beings. Make them accessible to the young people you talk to, so they don't become just like another photograph somewhere in a Nazi uniform. Make them accessible as human beings who struggled.
If only they could have talked to each other, to someone.
If only, there would have been something like the TRC in Germany, even in the little villages where people could have, that spirit of the mothers in the Gugulethu 7, she could engage and she could forgive. If my parents only had had a little bit of that opportunity. I have hope that for you here in South Africa, for us here in South Africa, that it won't take 50 years or 60 years to talk to one another. That's part of why I'm here, to talk and encourage young people I meet. Let's talk about our past, our collective past, our individual lives. Let's have dialogue. That's healing. For you, for me, for us together.